in that last matchup.
If you look at the heroes right here, it really shows that Rrq, they want to go all in, and they don't really want to play the game that slow and play a front to back. They want to always dive in, and maybe the only long-range distance hero will be Clay on that Eve. So with the Eve just suffering defeats yesterday, we'll have to see if they have made adjustments. Because against Falcon, it's going to be, as you mentioned, Isu, just a huge scrap fest to see who can actually grab that dominance early on. And I think the key difference here is the fact that Rrq, they were once known as the comeback kings, so they have no issue playing from behind, but usually, especially against a team like Falcon, that is a dangerous strategy.
Now, taking a look at Falcon, though, also a few similarities. Both teams wanting that Ling, but here's the thing with Falcon: they can also get a little bit gritty here with the Martiz jungle, throwing the Harith into the gold lane. Both teams banning out a lot of similar things. I feel like, you know, the Kaja, the Glue, these are kind of usual bans here. Something that I think will be contested for. If the Kaja's open, it's either going to be Vin picking it up, and I think he did such a great performance on it the other night. I think that's something we need to keep our eyes on here.
Yeah, Kaja seems to be crucial now, right? I mean, we've seen so many plays just off Kaja hero alone, and at one point, you know, there was a lot of that priority on carry. Now, carry's still a great marksman, but I feel like even more so now, it's that Kaja pick. And even the playmaking potential alone is the reason why teams go for it. And as we take a look at the keys to victory here for Rrq, recalibrate the mindset against Falcon's aggression, because there's a contrast there from their previous matchup with Blacklist International, more towards that control type. Also, beware and contain Naomi's playmaking. That's what we talked about earlier, especially on that Franco. Don't think he's going to get it. Albert must win jungler showdown and retribution battles. Very important here. And hunt the Falcon's nest when they're least expected.
I think that's a big statement there. It makes sense, right? If they can catch Falcon off guard, and you know, they can get a huge advantage, and we saw that Falcon struggles to play from behind. If Rrq can get a bit of a lead, which they are known to do, right? This is the team that has done all these crazy plays, these insane messy team fights. And speaking of Falcon here, their keys to victory is to help Yellow Flash to control R7 if possible. Soar above the sky and constrict Skylar. Never stop that tempo, as Nicey was mentioning. Turn down for what? And just since Valentina, undefeated right now, 4-4, so don't change that.
Definitely going to be an important pick for Falcon if Rrq decides to let that open. Now, I really love what you mentioned, Naisu. They're going to have to switch their tempo in this game compared to how they played against Blacklist, because they are two very, very different teams. Now, honestly, Falcon has seemed very versatile, and I think how they're going to test Rrq here is how versatile can Albert get? How versatile can some of these picks become? Because I got a feeling in this best of 5, Rrq is going to have to dig very, very deep here.
I think Rrq would rather play that aggressive game, you know, and just go head-to-head basically with Falcon's aggression. If you remember, I'm not exactly sure on the exact number, but I'm pretty sure it's Falcon that still has that first blood rate, highest in M4 so far. It's like 93, 94%, somewhere around there. So you know that Falcon's going to be looking for that first pick off, get the momentum going, and honestly, Rrq Hoshi, they like to play that game. You know, it's better if they can get that, especially in the hands of Albert.
It does seem like Rrq likes gambling a lot more, though. You see that Falcon, it's more of a calculated approach. They always go for these very strong early game heroes, and they capitalize on it. That's why they're able to get such an advantage. For Rrq, sometimes they'll draft a late game composition, but they have no issue just scrapping it out, duking it out in skirmishes by a level 2 or level 3. So that's something that Falcon needs to keep in mind, right? When you least expect it, that can be where Rrq can just jump on the gun.
So what you guys are saying is we're going to have a big battle just at the Litho Wander. Like, I'm talking like
probably
first blood for both teams, just huge skirmish right in the very beginning, both teams just button heads the whole way. That's what I like.
I mean, not only that, but the key to victory was there, and I'm assuming that's what that meant by invading the nest, is like you're going to see a lot of invading of the jungle, right? Looking for that control, looking for that priority, and if these two junglers decide to opt for assassins, are they even going to get their purple buffs, right? I guess that's a big thing here. But we are going to load up into the draft for the first match of today's triple header. Rrq Hoshi and Falcon Esports. Again, that first game is crucial for momentum.
This is such an important situation here because, as you mentioned, are they going to go for an assassin? Because that can be countered by a specific roam pick. But if they go for a roam pick like a Hilda, for example, that counters an assassin, on the flip side, they'll have a very lackluster engage. So everything needs to come in together here. It cannot be just the signature heroes from each player, because if there's no synergy in the team composition, it's going to be a very tough situation at this level of Mobile Legends.
It's also really interesting how the bans have kind of evolved throughout this knockout stage. You know, in the group stages, the Fermis wasn't extremely contested. It kind of depended on who you were going against, but now we're seeing it a lot more here, especially because some teams have kind of mastered it. The carry, very, very typical, so it seems like Falcon does not want to give that over. I mean, she's just been shredding through teams, so very understandable. And now with the Wanwan banned out as well, it kind of, we're already seeing some limits on the gold lane here.
I'm surprised too, you know, I mean, especially after yesterday where we just saw at one point all those assassins being banned out here. But I feel like both these two junglers are very versatile enough in their own way that if they don't want to start on the assassin junglers, we have seen pretty much everybody in the M4 tournament do pretty well on those tanky jungler picks, right? You've got the Barretts, you've got the Martis, who isn't banned out just yet. So you can go that route, build around a multifaceted play style. Because if you notice the trend here, teams that are, let's say, have the all-star junglers, right? If they're shut down, things kind of fall apart, right? So at this point in the stage of the knockouts, you need everybody in their lanes, in their roles, to play the part, right? And you start that, of course, here in the draft. The Kaja being taken out as well. This is another hero that has constantly popped up, like we just mentioned. Big playstyle potential, big playmaker potential. And last ban for Falcon, is it going to be a roamer? Is it going to be another marksman here? Or even possibly the mid lane, because Eve is... Okay, never mind. Eve is taken out. I was going to say, Eve was open.
Fanny's open, though, as well. Same thing with
Fanny.
The blue. A lot of things are open right now for the side of Rrq, but Falcon set themselves up for a possible, you know, swap. Like,
Exactly. Having the flexibility is insane, but this is going to be Joy. Still able to be flexed around, but we've seen it in the hands of R7. It just wreaks havoc in the backline, basically denies any kind of follow-up when your main engager engages. So against Falcon, this will be a strong pick, but the glue comes in almost instantly. So this is something they definitely want to abuse in this game.
At this point, you can pretty much leave Fanny open, because any team that does chance for it, that goes for that Fanny pick, you know that you're going to have to protect the Fanny's resources the whole time, right? That purple buff. And that's why you see no one take it just yet. Like you guys mentioned, Joy has been doing wonders, especially in the XP lane with that Vengeance, causing havoc like you mentioned, Arashi. And on the flip side, Falcon able to pick up the Glue and the Fredrin. Two great options, right? We've seen how utility Fredrin can be and tanky, but also Bonchan with a quote here, it's already difficult this time against Rrq. It's already a different strategy because of the addition of Coach Arcadia. They drastically improved their macro, and I think it helps a lot. What do you expect from a Filipino coach?
All right, so at the end, he's still showing some Filipino pride, even though he's complimenting Rrq. Fair play, fair play. But now with the 2 more picks for Rrq, we'll have to see. Is it going to be the mid lane? Is it going to be the roamer? It will be Lunox and the Grok. And right now, this is the confusing part, right? These heroes can very much still be flexed around, and that is the very confusing factor. That is why flex picks are really good against teams that are a bit more one-dimensional. We'll have to see, though, because Falcon has shown themselves that they can just come out with some really unexpected picks.
Yeah, I mean, literally all 3 of those heroes can go to a few different places. So Rrq not showing their hands one bit. Now, on the side of Falcon, they picked up that Fredrin, and he had a really rough start in the group stage. He had like a 69% pick rate, but a 39% win rate. But now that we're getting to the top tier of these teams, we are starting to see how important it is. But hold on, there's the Valentina, and what?
4 for 4.
4 for 4. 4 for 4. 4 for 4. So will this be the thing that carries them game 1?
I mean, it might just be. It's a very solid hero. And I think a big part of a lot of these early game teams, they really require some wave control, because if they can't really push and get priority to start roaming around, their team really starts to slow down. So looking at the lineup right now, it does seem like Falcon has a bit of an edge in that department. We'll have to see, though, because again, it all depends on where exactly do these heroes go to.
The biggest thing for me when I'm looking at Falcon already is you have so much CC, right? You've got the CC from the Fredrin, the knock up, the taunt, plus the Terrify, and again, depending what we see Valentina take for an ultimate here. Probably right now, wild charge, but still, the fact that you have a lot of that layered CC, it's going to work in your favor, but you need to be able to follow up on that, right? So you can see how many marksman bans are coming out, but we had some surprises yesterday in terms of marksman picks. We saw, what, Melissa come out, Moskov, you know, what else is in store here? And does Falcon want to opt for a traditional marksman? Because with them banning 3 out so far, and there's the Claude as well in return from Rrq, there's not a lot of options left, at least from what we've seen so far in the knockout stage.
Well, right now, Rrq banned away the Claude, so logically speaking, that means they already have their gold laner, or they're planning on going for something different than a Claude. So a bit of a mind game here, because the Lunox can still go in that role, and the Harith has been banned out as well. A bit of a different priority for both these teams, but it does seem like Falcon, they're just setting up for a very strong front line. They ban out a long distance, long DPS heroes like that Beatrix. They can just burst through. So maybe they just want something more kitey, you know, something that can maintain distance a bit more.
You know, with the way Falcon was banning, even in second phase, they ban out the Beatrix. I'm thinking, oh, they're probably going to pick up a Harith for the gold lane or something very out of the ordinary. But Rrq calls the bluff right there, and they're like, yeah, I think we know what you're going for here. So they ban out the Harith, they ban out the Claude, and now Zipex kind of, you know, he's really got to think about this. Is that Clint?
He was hovering over Moskov.
Well, kind of a bit of a sneak peek here. It's a bit unfair.
He just goes for it. He's like, I'm going to full send it. I'm going with it. Now, it doesn't have the best win rate here, but this, again, could just be that comfort pick for Zipex. Goes and rather goes for the Clint there than something spicy that we've seen so far. Like that Moskov, it was selected, but this is probably the better choice, right? Again, you have a lot of CC. You need to be able to follow up, and now that's the thing, Arashi, is Clint the best option here? Does he have enough burst? How long does it take for this Clint hero to get to that point? Is it a 2-item, 3-item, 4-item marksman? How's it working?
I think Clint just has a very strong advantage in the early game, right? That trading potential is massive, and the wave clear as well with the passive. So I think Clint has a lot of potential. In the mid game though, I feel like he falters quite a bit before being yet another huge presence in the late game. And speaking of late game, Melissa has been selected by Rrq, and along with that is the Martis. So again, the mind game is really paying off right here. You didn't really know what exactly was the final pick going to be, but now you see the lineup is coming through, a lot of crowd control immunity, and a lot of outplay potential, right? The movement and the denial that Rrq is very fond of, but that signature Franco pick, man, coming in for Falcon.
We've been waiting for that Franco pick. Quick notice, though, onto the gold lanes. You mentioned how Clint is supposed to be kind of strong in the early game, but now with this Melissa, you have such range, such poke in that laning phase. It's going to probably give Clint a little bit of a hard time. Now, Clint, not a whole lot of mobility in those team fights in the mid game, but he can, if he can get a good positioning. If the rest of his team can pocket around him, he can output a lot of damage, plus some nice true damage from the passive. So there is some possibilities. He builds with the Endless Battle, but it's going to come down to really big, how well can Naomi peel for him? How well can they stack that CC and protect him throughout that mid phase?
Well, I'm just wondering, you know, with that last pick from Falcon, if we're going to take a trip to Hook City again, because the highlights, man, that guy had, it just seemed unreal. And I know Rrq is probably prepared for that. And I like the Melissa pick as well, because we actually saw this yesterday, the interaction that ultimate provides, that micro decision, and a lot of times turns the tides for those team fights, especially when we're talking about, lately we've seen so many under turret plays, whether they're looking for the sandwich angle or they're just trying to collapse down on a tier 1 turret even, and that's crucial, you know, if you have that in your repertoire basically to work with it. And the Melissa is that great pick, but still, I was talking about CCs from Falcon. Rrq Hoshi has great CC as well, but we are loading up into the land of Dawn here for the first series of the day. Rrq Hoshi versus Falcon.
Off the bat, Zipex with a very aggressive emblem choice here. The killing spree being used to ensure that I guess he can go a bit more aggressive and chase for those very valuable kills in the early game. But R7 with the mystery shop, with the vengeance, as we mentioned, very dangerous, but Clay gets hooked in. The sustain will be enough, but Falcon already showing dominance in this early game.
Yeah, already a big hook, already a lot of aggression from the side of Falcon, and this is exactly what we wanted to see. This is exactly what we thought they would bring.
Well, off to a decent start. I mean, it's a pretty stalemate right now. Oh,
big pick on Albert. He will be able to get away with ease, though, but it does look like they want to keep on bringing some aggression. Justin going to come up, trying to get the Terrify on Vin. Ken moving in as well, bringing Vin down to about half health. He's going to try to get away with this. Gets a nice defense.
Wow.
Wait, will he get the dash? Ken trying to catch him, just can't, though.
Also, it's a very close situation, and this is why you can't really just go aggressive against Falcon, because they will punish you. And look at these hooks, man. Barely misses onto Clay, but of course that is so dangerous, and that is something that is going to be at the back of their minds right now.
there it is, right? I was just talking about that in the draft. Falcon is ranked first in first blood rate with 93.33%. 14 out of 15 games. No one's claimed it just yet, but both teams going to work on the first turtle.
Most definitely Ken trying to get a nice position here, but in comes Albert. The appraisal's wrapped double hands down, and Ken's able to take the turtle. Nice pick, but the battle does still pursue. Albert goes down. Vin may just be next, caught in the middle of 4. That is another kill for Ken, putting him at 1-0-1. First blood plus another to the side of Falcon.
So they maintain that statistic, and let's take a look how that worked out for the Marashi.
They're getting 3 more items here. Of course, Zipex has some more life steal here, but R7 trying to go in against Ken. Unfortunately, he's getting too low. The Vengeance is spot, but it won't be enough.
That is huge, but Albert wants to keep on pushing it. Ken gonna switch positions, but he's taken out by Clay. This could be bad for Albert, though. No, they find Naomi. Albert goes down to Justin, but now Justin trying to escape. Can't quite make it. The Brilliance comes out. They're on the chase. Wild Charge comes in. Yellow Flash goes down, and so does Justin. Yellow Flash actually still up. Ends up finding Clay there. Overall, a 2-for-1 trade. Rrq fighting back.
On paper, Rrq has a lot more late game heroes, but this is what we've been talking about, right? Falcon trying to aggress, but Rrq is not backing down at all. They keep matching these plays, and they keep getting a bit of an exchange. It can work out, but like I said, it's a bit dangerous, especially if they start losing the tempo and letting Falcon get control of the game. Right now, for both teams, the presence and the aggression has just ensured that invades are not happening, but if it's just a stalemate, I think Naomi with the hooks has a bit more advantage, but the card control immunity does come in solid here.
The other thing that, I mean, just in the last couple minutes here, again, this is going back to that tempo, right? Pace set by Falcon, but Rrq doing a good job at pretty much matching it, but at the same time, look at Justin, right? He has those 3 kills already. He's running the mystery shop here. He's going to be able to scale up really well on this Valentina early on, and how will that play a part? You're going to have to see it as Falcon Esports adjust into especially the mid-game. But right now, this minor advantage that Falcon has is going to play out, especially in the objectives. Now, because Albert is playing that Martiz, you're able to kind of bob and weave out of these situations the best you can. And if they get whittled down here from Falcon Esports, the decimate is huge, but the fight breaks out.
Yeah, we got to keep eyes on Naomi here, waiting for that hook to come in. Yellow Flash into the backside. R7 trying to do the same thing here. Turtle does reset, so Ken going to try to push forward. Naomi just holding down in this bush. A nice hook does land onto Vin there. In comes the suppression, but Vin able to get out. Responds with the wild charge, and down goes Naomi. Ken will be next. It's a 2-for-0 trade, a double kill going to the side of Clay.
After a solid turtle pit dance, Rrq somehow find a big engage, and despite having the less dynamic, the less fast engage with that Rrq pick, Vin was able to find an amazing wild charge, and I think that was just what set the deal for Rrq. Falcon needs to make sure that they maintain distance, because otherwise Rrq have a lot more potential to burst them down and also go for those big engages. And quick mention on the items right here, R7 has the genius one. He's going for early DPS, trying to make sure that he can keep the game rolling long enough for Skylar to try and scale into that late game.
Not only that, but, you know, having that R7, having the Genius Wand already is going to scale really well, or complement really well. Clay especially, as he's already quite bursty and has that magic penetration, but paired with that item, you know, Falcon's got to be careful how they approach it, but Vin...
Yeah, Vin's going to try to come in, uses a conceal play. Justin, though, here to help. Nice suppression onto Clay, will get wild charged up. Justin using one of his own. Now Zipex going to try to catch some distance. Getting that passive off, but Albert moving on to Justin here. Decimation locks in, and down goes Justin. Skylar and the rest of them are going to try to take this final tower. I mean, it's just one tap away as Zipex and Naomi are pushed back to base.
It's just such a tough situation to be in, man. Rrq, they do it yet again. Even though Jessup was able to secure a counter engage using the stolen wild charge, it's just not enough. There's not enough combo coming in, and Falcon really seems to be the one on the back foot here. They're losing to Rrq in terms of speed, and as Naisu mentioned, and this kind of matchup, speed will kill you. Tempo is of utmost importance.
Yeah, most definitely. I don't think much is going to happen here. R7's just too fast.
R7 is way, way too fast for sure. And this is why the joystick is just so annoying, right? Again and again, he's just been able to dash towards the back line of Falcon, and they can pretty much, they can't really do anything to try and stop him. And in this early game, this is why it's so dangerous, because you don't have enough crowd control, you don't have enough burst damage, and this is why that Vengeance spell as well is just so annoying on a mobile hero like this Joy.
Yeah, this is, we've seen Joy pop up so many times now, and I feel like that success rate is really apparent in the XP lane.
Movin will bite the bullet there. Yellow Flash trying to move on to Clay there. Will use Brilliance to get out. Falcon now taking cover over the turtle pivot. Albert trying to make it in.
Oh.
Will take the turtle. A beautiful retribution. Hook does land on to Skylar. Skylar trying to get away here. R7 now getting on to Zipex. Zipex goes down. Clay in a very bad situation. The taunt comes in. He finds him, but the battle still pursues under the purple buff. R7 trying to get them down. Albert will fall. A nice pick. Overall, a 3-for-1 trade, but Rrq does take the turtle.
Ooh, it seems like Yellow Flash still wants to go for a bit more though, but R7, look at him just denying Justin any kind of presence, but he might just a bit of more than he can chew. But no, he is able to escape with the mobility, and despite getting the turtle, Rrq got punished heavily in that fight.
That's the best thing they can do, right? If they're able to get those objectives here for Rrq, at least you have that going for you into the mid-late game transition. So, but what we're seeing again is the pretty much the pendulum of tempo between both these teams. First, it was Falcon, Rrq got it back, and now it's Falcon once again.
Oh, but a nice hook does come in. Wild charge coming down from Vin. Brilliance comes out. Naomi taking a little bit of damage. Yellow Flash does secure a tower, though, on the top side. Albert now coming to help out the team. Rrq will disengage. Falcon taking a little bit of revenue, though, in the mid and the top lane.
So they hold on to it. It's one hit away there on the bottom side, tier 1. Still looking for a map advantage here. Naomi!
Ooh, R7 should be able to get away from this, but it is a lot of damage from Zipex. He's going to need to be careful because Falcon is hovering down this bot lane.
Every time Falcon gets an engage, Rrq, it seems like their go-to response is to fight fire with fire and aggress back. And this is making it very difficult for Naomi to get a lot of value with these iron hooks. Because even if someone gets hooked, they don't back away. They all go in at the same time. And with Clay, for example, having the immunity with the Brilliance order, it's just going to allow him to just buy so much more time. And Falcon is definitely struggling to deal with this, but they still are sitting at a 2K gold lead, and that is significant, especially with how they play.
Well, this is big, right? Zipex finally getting that BOD. A first lord of the game is going to be